Okay, welcome back. In this chapter, we're going to look at the new feature which allows you to take chord track events and convert them directly to MIDI events, which is very straightforward. It's not one of those things you reach for every day, but when you need it, it's great. And it is far superior to the preceding capability, which was the very audio extraction technique, which that still functions, but it's clumsy when it comes to chords in particular. So even though the chord event to MIDI is the real focus here, I want to start one step upstream and begin with an actual analog recording, convert that to chord events, and then into MIDI events to show how that whole process works. So what we have is just 4 piano chords here. I'll play them real quick. I play them only because we're going to do a before and after here. So we'll right click and come down to add a chord track. And there is one aspect of this that can be a little confusing, which we'll get to in just a moment in terms of where to have your focus when you execute the process. All I'm going to do is drag this piece of audio from the audio track onto the chord track and release, and boom, we get these chord events generated. Now, to make the new thing work, and it's a project menu function. It's down here under chord track. It says chords to MIDI. What is a little bit unclear is that for this to work, you have to have a MIDI track or an instrument track set up in advance, and then you have to have that in focus instead of the chord track when you do this, even though it's a chord track function. It has to be, Cubase has to be pointed at the receiving track. So let's come down here and make a quick instrument track, and we'll set up our Verve brand new piano device here. All right, and let me see if we can small that up a little. Small that up. That's a good one. All right, now here's what we did initially, and we're confused. Since this is a chord track function, you would think I'm going to run this on the chord track, but if you come up and do that, it's going to fail. Chord track, notes to MIDI, nothing happens. You have to have the focus on the receiving track, then do that same move again, and this time it's going to create the chords down there. And at that point, one of the big reasons you would do this in the first place is to extract note data for music printing. You can come right up to scores, open the score editor, and there you go. That's that quick. None of these processes, automated processes, are ever perfect, but that's the basic blocking and tackling of that one. Now hang on just a moment here. Just for fun, I'm going to get this editor window out of the way. Just for fun, let's do a quick before and after and see how it did. To me, it looks like it dropped it an octave lower than it should have, but we'll solo the original track. And now let's come back and listen to the final result in Verve. And just for fun, let's hear them together. So yeah, it looks like Cubase shifted some of that stuff a little bit lower than the original audio recording. But now, of course, you can just open that up in the editor and move stuff around and so forth and so on. And just to say we did it, let's take one look at, get rid of this for the moment. Gotta nuke that one too. Yes. If you have this piece of audio selected and you come down to your very audio editor here, where do we go? And we run the very audio analysis. I'm looking down here in the corner. There has been this function to extract MIDI data. And we'll just say, okay, let the defaults run. And this is what came out. If I drag that up to the Verve piano track real quick and take a, quick listen, you'll see it worked, but it didn't work particularly well. And so just to say we did it, I'm going to select that output and we'll go to the scores editor and see what that looks. And it's a fail. But that makes sense. Very Audio was always designed to focus on getting individual notes isolated and then making individual note corrections. So it was never really built to do chords. It can. You can follow this process and make it happen. It just takes a lot of manual editing, at which point it's probably easier just to recreate it by playing it. But in any case, the new technique couldn't be any simpler. We'll run through that one more time. Let's add a new track, chord track. create it there, focus on where we want it to go, project menu, chord track, create MIDI, and we're there. So hopefully that gets you moving down the road when you need this functionality. We'll wrap this one up here and come back and look at, I think, outboard MIDI editors, controllers. See ya.